Welcome back to the Voice of Business podcast. We're here at Bennett's in this beautiful studio space here with their beautiful furniture. Thanks so much to Janice at Odigsky Media for shooting and producing this. And my guest today, we've got Tracie Bertrand. Tracie, General Manager at Peterborough County for Communications and Tourism.
That's right.
And we're talking tourism and business today, and you've had quite a few roles with this over the last, I don't know, as long as I've known you.
That's right. It's been a long time.
We've got PCAD. You were there running a tourism program up in Halliburton as well, and then you've got a lot of marketing communications experience. I know you worked at OLG, and I'm sure there's a whole lot more to your history that way too.
Absolutely.
We're at an exciting time for your role, right?
Sure
The county has essentially created a whole new tourism entity over the last year, and we're kicking things off. And I'm just curious, what goes into essentially building up a whole new program, and what do you have going on?
It's a great question. So a lot goes into that. So my experience really, 21 years at the OLG, 5 to 6 years at PCAD as the Director of Tourism, and then building a new tourism division within Peterborough County, which, takes a lot of work, but it's natural. It comes natural to me. So it's a matter of understanding what goes into tourism, understanding what is needed and what the businesses and the visitors love. And then from a municipal perspective, understanding how we can roll out the services that we're going to provide in a municipal fashion. So a lot of collaboration.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very lucky because I've had the opportunity to work with the tourism businesses in Peterborough and the Kawarthas for over 20 years in the hospitality and tourism industry. I have a really good understanding of what the tourism businesses specifically go through, and the visitor economy is critical to this region, right? So my experience in customer service and visitor experience out at OLG, and then my experience in strategy at PCAD and Halliburton County has really made it fairly easy to be able to develop a division at the county, but it's partnering with divisions like our GIS department, our IT department, which is an opportunity when you bring tourism into the upper tier. And then we have the 8 townships, our 2 First Nations, and building collaboration, making sure they trust us, making sure that we are understanding their unique perspectives, their unique brands, and what they want to see from a tourism entity and from a marketing perspective. So bringing in the right staff, creating great relationships, and really understanding the trends and opportunities and challenges that exist in tourism in the Kawarthas. And Peterborough County is probably the biggest. That's what we need to do to build a division. Yeah.
And I mean, typically this would be the type of role you'd inherit, right? There'd be years and years of experience and things, and we've done things this way and so on, but you don't have that bag of starting this. No. And I know we've done a lot of consultations together with the business community, getting that kind of input. What sort of expectations are you finding that there are on this new in-house organization?
Yeah, well, I think the expectation is that we continue the momentum and the good work that Peterborough and the Kawarthas Economic Development was doing for the last many years. Yeah. So that momentum is important, right? Because there was some great marketing done in tourism, destination marketing. So we want to continue that momentum. We want to continue to ensure that we're highlighting the Kawarthas in Peterborough County as a premier destination of choice. The expectation is that the businesses are going to get the support that they were previously getting. Yeah. That's what the businesses want to see. But from our conversations and our public consultations with business, we know that they want to work with each other.
Yeah.
They really, really, really have a desire to want to understand what is happening in the Kawarthas and how they can partner, how they can understand what the visitor wants, because there's various markets, right? Yeah. And they want to build packages, and they're passionate about this region, and they just want those opportunities to be able to create product and experiences that the visitor wants. Yeah. So we see that they really do want to see collaboration, they want to see partnership, and they want to see those opportunities provided to them through our division.
Yeah, and I mean, collaboration is a big part of this conversation, right? Because you're one factor. I mean, as much as you are the lead on the tourism side of things, it's one component as far as the different supports that businesses need.
That's right.
And I know with this new organization, there was concerns that as we take things out, and this is a county thing, this is a city thing, these are what the townships are doing, this is what our other neighbors are doing. there's this concern that maybe things will be just too divided and we're not as effective when we're not all together in this one entity, right? But I do see that there's a lot of collaboration going on outside of that, right? Like you don't necessarily need to be sharing an office for all of this. And maybe you can highlight not just with other tourism entities, but that those wraparound services that go into supporting a business that's in these sectors, because it's not just the promotion and visitors and that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is all about collaboration. And I think the perspective that we have to think about that I always remember and will never forget is the visitor is the audience, and the visitor, they don't see political boundaries, they don't see political divides in geographic landscapes, right? So the visitor sees this greater region as a place to visit, and that collaboration with the city of Peterborough, the collaboration with our other partners, with our provincial partners and our national partners, is critically important, because the visitor knows this place as a great place to visit, and they really don't see the boundaries that we would see from a perspective of running tourism at a municipal level. So it's really important that we work closely with the city, our partners at the city, with Curve Lake, Hiawatha First Nation, all of our townships, to understand the unique value propositions that everyone holds, and then bring those value propositions and those assets together and create a story that kind of continues to tell the story of this amazing destination. And without that, we wouldn't be successful. So it's going to be critically important that we work together and talk about this place as a great place to visit.
Well, a while back I did a map up of myself as a local tourist. I don't travel outside of Canada all that often, but I love the local tourism side of things. I came here for the lakes and rivers, and it's like, okay, so I spend time in almost every township in the county, but as well Kawartha Lakes, Haliburton, Northumberland, right? Like it's all one factor as far as attracting people to here and finding things to do and all that.
Absolutely.
So on that note, we are known for those lakes and rivers and a lot of the summertime activities. We've talked a lot over the last while about working with businesses and what can we do to fill things out a bit more around the year. What kind of ideas do you have in the works, and what are the big challenges to filling in the shoulder seasons or even the off season?
Right. So the Kawartha is known quintessentially as cottage country, right? And we've positioned this destination as that for a very, very long time. So changing that perception is going to be one of the biggest challenges, but we've been working on it for a long time. When I was at PCAD, we were working on it. In Haliburton, working on changing the perception of cottage country just being, May through to September. And that takes a lot of storytelling. But it also takes a lot of business development. So this is where the collaboration between the Economic Development Division and the Tourism Division in Peterborough County can come together. We essentially, tourism businesses are businesses first and foremost, right? So they have the same challenges as every other business. Workforce is a challenge. Housing can be a challenge to have people come and live here and work here. But the bigger challenge in the tourism industry is the tourism marketing.
It's an expensive challenge.
It's an expensive challenge, but it's also a complicated ecosystem, right? Because we have the provincial destination marketing organization, the national destination marketing organization, we have a regional marketing organization, and then you have your local tourism department that will be doing marketing as well. So helping to navigate those businesses through that ecosystem is part of my role. And then from an economic development standpoint, helping them to build their work plans, create their marketing plans, grow their business, create new product. That's an important part of the life cycle of a tourism business. So it's really, how do we help tourism businesses create new product that would be able to be market ready for those shoulder seasons. So some of our thought process, right, the challenge is weather. Here in Peterborough and the Kawarthas, we have weather challenges. We don't know if it's going to snow. This year we've been very lucky, but in some cases there's no snow. So snowmobiling or skiing or those outdoor winter activities, they're hard to market when there's no snow. So it's really about how do we create product that we could have when the weather isn't supporting us?
Yeah.
Right? So maybe it's those cozy nights in a beautiful accommodation with a fireplace and a book and a quilt and beautiful culinary experiences. It doesn't have to always be about outdoor winter adventure.
Yeah, well, and maybe that's where collaboration comes in a bit more too, because there are some indoor facilities in the county, but there's also some big cultural things within the city of Peterborough, right? Like you've got Market Hall and Showplace and these things that are putting on amazing shows through the winter, and come and enjoy some stuff in the city and spend your night out in a cozy cabin out in the county, and
absolutely. And I think the agricultural component of it, from the farm to farm to table. I mean, people love food.
Of course.
They spend most of their money when they're traveling on transportation and food and accommodation. And food here in the Kawartha is coming from our farmers, and then the local chefs in the entire region using that produce. It's something that people love, and we have 2 wineries, 3 wineries really, if you look at it, and wine is a wonderful thing. Breweries are a wonderful thing, and in the winter, the spring when it's muddy, the winter when it's cold, maybe culinary and a cozy accommodation is something that we can work on. Some of the challenges obviously are workforce and infrastructure. So it's about making sure that we have visitors here so that businesses can afford to hire more people to stay open throughout the entire year. So that's a challenge, but it's not something that's brand new. It's something that has been worked on, and we'll continue that momentum, and we'll continue to partner. Packages is the way to go, and our businesses are telling us they really want to be able to create special packages that they can offer.
Well, and this sort of feeds into another part that you touched on, and when it comes to the communications marketing side of things. And I look over my career, like 15, 20 years ago, it was easy. You put together a couple press releases, bought some very expensive traditional ads, and boom, that was your entry into whatever city you wanted to market to. But now it's very different. It's very targeted, and it's very business and sector by sector. And I'm sure you get this from some of the businesses or even some of the other people you work with, right? Like, well, just promote us there. Well, how? Right?
Okay.
It's not as simple as it once was.
That's right.
And maybe you can go into a little bit about, like, what do you do if you have, say, a local brewery or a restaurant that says, you know what, our GTA clients are some of our best. Sure, they're not here every week, but they come, they go to a bunch of different places, they spend some good money, and we'd like to be part of an effort to bring more of those people in. What types of efforts do you put into marketing with those
that's
businesses?
an incredible story, actually. That's exactly what we hope for, is that these businesses do come to us and have these ideas. So part of our role would be to align and find other businesses that are willing to partner. And then when the product is market ready, we tell the story. So we can tell the story to the market of their choice, but the market also has to be a market that makes sense for us. Right? So we predominantly want to try and target people that are going to stay longer, spend more money, and there's certain demographics and there's certain markets that we would cater to. Foodies, definitely one of them.
For sure.
Cycling tourism is another one, right? So certainly our role when a business comes to us with that is to get together with economic development and pull together a team and go, what can we do with this? We don't develop product, but we help our businesses to be able to develop product and then curate packages that we know the visitors are going to want, and help them assign pricing and make a sustainable kind of approach to it so that they can keep that moving forward. And then the goal is obviously to create loyalty and repeat visits. And the best form of advertising, no matter what anyone says, is still word of mouth, especially in the tourism industry. So we look to trying to, and we heard this at when we were doing public engagement with our businesses, we're going to look to try to educate our local residents, our seasonal residents, about what is available in the Kawarthas. They can be the best ambassadors when they're visiting friends and relatives are coming from across Canada and across the world to visit the Kawarthas. So that's something that we'll be definitely focusing on.
There's no better excuse to explore your own backyard than when your family comes up and says,
Show
so,
it off.
What do you want to do this weekend, right?
Exactly. And why go outside of your own region, right? When you have a region this size, this beautiful, we heard it loud and clear that a lot of people that live here don't really know all of the amazing assets that are and packages and experiences that are offered from our tourism businesses in the Kawarthas. So I'm happy to start to shout that from the rooftops.
Yeah. All right, I got one more question as we wrap up. We've talked a lot about tourism as almost its own entity, but these businesses work in a few different ways to service the local population, but as well, there's a lot of spillover effects to our whole economy. Maybe you can explain a bit about where tourism fits into our larger economic development of our region.
Absolutely, it's a great question, and I like to say tourism as the sector, but in reality, what we're looking at is the visitor economy. So the visitor economy is critical to many, many destinations across Ontario and Canada, but predominantly in rural Ontario. And here in Peterborough and the Kawarthas, honestly, we're reliant on the visitor economy, especially in Peterborough County. Without the visitor economy, without our seasonal residents coming in, we boost our population by almost 21,000 people a year. Without that visitor economy, businesses, traditional tourism businesses, but non-traditional businesses rely on that money that's being spent. So there's approximately 3 million visitors that come through the region every year, and they're spending $300 million in tourism receipts. And those receipts are, buying gas at gas stations. They're buying groceries at the grocery store. They're doing landscaping projects for their cottage. They're enhancing their cottage with, new construction. They're buying boats. They're storing boats. They're also exploring the destination as a tourist. So that spillover effect it's huge. And our businesses are telling us loud and clear, without the visitor economy, it's not going to be successful. And we saw that in COVID when the visitor economy shut down, right? And I think that really pointed it out to many, many people that the visitor economy, it's critical to our prosperity. And the traditional tourism businesses, while visitors come to do that stuff, visitor economy affects every single business. It helps to promote the region. So when somebody's coming to visit a place, you as a traveler, when you're out visiting someplace, you could go, wow, I could actually live here, right? I could live here. I loved it here. And so that kind of investment in tourism and the visitor economy may drive people to want to live here, work here, start a business here. And then I think the biggest piece that I want to say is that when we invest in tourism infrastructure and we invest in our destination, we're not only doing it for our visitors, we're improving the quality of life for our residents. So if we're improving trails and parks and we're improving community centers that can be used by visitors, it's also something that residents can use and appreciate. So we're investing in our resident quality of life as well. So I think it's important. I think it spills over in so many different ways. And a sustainable approach to it makes sense, right? Something where the residents and the communities and the businesses are buying into the approach that we're taking. And that's important.
All right. Well, Tracie, really appreciate you joining me this morning.
Thanks, Joel. I appreciate it.